Warm welcome, everyone, to this live studio talk show here at World Water Week. I'm delighted to have this panel with me here. In the next session, we'll be exploring how to oh my God, I got stuck there. How to
operationalize.
Thank you so much. Good that we're a team here. The water, energy, carbon nexus. My name is Soledad Pinheiro Misa, and I'm delighted to be your host. And also warm welcome to everyone joining us online. We have an eminent panel, both with the partners and members of the 50-liter Home Coalition that we're going to hear more about. I'm just going to introduce, maybe you can introduce yourselves shortly, if you start, Vanessa.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Butani, Head of Sustainability for Electrolux Group, based here in Stockholm.
Hi, I'm Ratish Namboothri. I am the Head of Sustainability and Innovation for Good for Kohler Company, based in our headquarters in Kohler, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Anusha Shah. I work for Arcadis as a Senior Director for Resilient Cities and UK Climate Adaptation Lead, and I'm based in London.
Wow, we have a lot of knowledge on stage. And also just to get started and to get everybody on board with us, Ratish, maybe could you introduce to us what is the 50-liter Home Coalition? And also, why did you choose to focus on how to
Operationalize.
Thank you. You got to always.
That's going to be our word.
Yeah,
jinxed.
I got you. Yeah, absolutely. So the 50-liter Home Coalition was something that our friends in Procter & Gamble it was their brainchild. They came up with the concept a couple of years ago, and it was co-founded with them, Kohler, Electrolux, and a few other private sector companies, and then the World Business Council and the World Economic Forum. This is a cross-sectoral coalition that's intended to bring innovations to market and create an enabling environment that'll help reduce residential water consumption down to 50 liters per person per day without affecting the energy impact coming from those solutions, which, by the way, is a dramatic reduction from existing, which is upwards of 200 liters per person per day at the best in many parts of the world. So pretty significant transformation. And this coalition is also intending to bring these solutions in a way that they do not compromise on the consumer experience. So as a matter of fact, we want to bring solutions to market that offer an amazing consumer experience in addition to reducing water and energy consumption as well. So that's a big challenge for us, and that's what we're looking at.
And a big possibility.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm like,
big opportunity.
Yeah,
yes.
big opportunity. Okay, great. And we're going to go into more like the innovations and the details. But I would love to start with asking you some questions. Because as the Senior Director of Resilience Cities at Arcadis, you work more like on a systemic level. Mm-hmm. And also, could you explain and simplify in your work, how do you facilitate or enable that we can come closer to a 50-liter homes? Sure. And also make sure that we put the energy, water, and carbon nexus into practice.
Thanks, Soledad. I think you're right. Systems is a key word here. So what we understand generally that when you look at water, energy, carbon nexus, we understand that it's water is needed to produce energy, and we know energy is needed to abstract, treat, and transport water for multiple uses. But we don't understand the full picture when it comes inside homes. And that's where we have really kind of gone deep into and trying to understand what's the nexus, what's the impact of water. You use less water, you use less energy, use less carbon, and what impact it has on affordability and bills. So that's the nexus. And we know there's enough evidence that around 80% of carbon emissions in the water cycle are at the user end. And then there's a blind spot, and that's something we kind of really dug deep, and we found that hot water, and our analysis confirmed that hot water within homes is also 6% of carbon emissions within the city. So you've got a challenge where the way you use water and the energy and the impact on carbon, you can really increase your greenhouse gas emissions, but equally you have a huge opportunity to look at the nexus and see where are the touch points where you can reduce all three and do it in a way that helps the environment, that helps affordability, that helps everyone in the system. It's a win-win for all. Yeah. So that's the paper we did. And what we found was that it's so important to look at the whole system And we need every person in the value chain to actually help us reduce all, but in a way, as Ritesh said, that it doesn't feel like a burden. It's done in a way which is irresistible. So you've got on the value chain, you've got policymakers. I mean, we need integrated water and management. Currently, we have them in silos. So policymakers need to do pricing at that level. So we have integrated water energy bills. Ultimately, the consumer is the same. We want a bill which is very, very simple and people can pay and know exactly how their behaviors are leading to increase in all this. And then we have regulators. How do the regulators look at water energy carbon nexus and help driving that regulation across the companies? Then is the practitioner level. How do we make sure that integrated water energy plans are there? And from when I say practitioner, I even mean a plumber.
Yeah.
Are we training them enough to see that what fittings need to be changed so that we can use less water, but in a way that seems abundant? Then it's ultimately what will change is the consumer behavior, but we need to take the consumer on a journey with us when we are all doing this. So what we did was with the Water Energy Carbon Nexus paper, we are now operationalizing it by holding roundtables. So we've taken UK. So when we did the initial paper, we had 4 cities, LA, Beijing, Mumbai, and Mexico. But now we are testing it out in the UK and bringing water clients, energy clients, city clients, behavioral scientists, social scientists, media people on the table and saying, what can we work across by operationalizing? We are looking at policy, we're looking at behavioral change, and we're looking at the technology. Because ultimately, how do we use AI and other digital technology? Because ultimately we want to see, consumer can see, I've used so many kettles of water, so many washes have increased my energy to this, and finally this is how much it's going to cost.
Exactly.
And our huge opportunities to use carbon as a currency. Because if everyone can use carbon as a currency rather than kilowatt hour and you know, and make it easy in terms of how many kettles of water, what does it mean in terms of carbon and ultimately money, and make sure that we are looking at the diverse users from faith, from cultures, and are we bringing them on table and co-designing solutions with them. So it's, I can talk all day on this, but there's a lot on this.
Yeah, it is. And this is the thing also with this format, that we only like scratch on the surface, but hopefully we all get more curious to learn. And I'm like, I have so many questions that I want to ask you, but I need to ask questions to the other ones in the panel too. But thank you so much for giving such a clear overview. And as also like as a consumer, I get the question like, okay, what kind of products and what can I have in my home that would facilitate for me to live a 50-liter lifestyle? And from you coming from Electrolux, what kind of innovations, products and solutions have you participated in developing, and what also may be inspiring from others in the sector?
Great. I think that's a nice follow-on to what Anusha was talking about. As Electrolux, we see our role, we have a dual role, really. One is for us to make great products, more resource-efficient products, both thinking about energy and water, and using our technology to do that. And then the other role is also to drive good behavior, change people's behavior, so that we both get a better result for our consumers, but also take the next step even in even more resource efficiency. So I have some great examples of that with technologies that we've been introducing. For example, in washing machines, we have a steam technology, which probably most people don't know about. But if your clothes aren't really dirty and just need to freshen up, then you can steam them. And that actually saves 96% of water compared to a regular wash. So that's huge, right? When it comes to nudging and behavior change, we've done a lot. And it was nice to hear you mentioning that, Anusha, about how important that is and the impact that can have. We have a dishwasher with a function that we call Quick Select on it. So it's really just a slider on the dishwasher that you can decide as you're standing in front of it, do I want to do a quick wash? Or do I want to do a more sustainable wash? And I like that because...
But why do you get the option? Shouldn't it just be if we're going to come closer to 50 liters home, shouldn't you just develop products that actually helps me not to have so many choices?
Well, I think people also, I mean, you have to look at the situation you're in. People also have to be able to live their lives, right? Sometimes you need a quick wash. And then I choose to do a quick wash. But what I like about this is I'm learning that, you know what, let me try and avoid the quick wash because it's actually not sustainable. If I can do a longer wash, which maybe feels a little bit odd that that's more sustainable, but that is actually energy saving, then I can learn to do that. So those kinds of visual guides where we really can show people how to do things in a better way, in a positive manner, with positive reinforcement is really powerful. There's also the combination of the two with the technology and kind of the nudging to the behavior change together with, for example, when we connect our appliances, and then we can provide contextual advice to people. Oh, I see you've done, a lot of big loads lately. Maybe you should try this program, and help people to really learn how to use their products in the best way.
Yeah.
Because I think we can all sort of relate to the fact that we don't spend time looking at our washing machine or our
and
dishwasher and figuring out.
Yeah, also because I'm maybe not using Electrolux products that as much right now, yeah, I have to admit. But is it possible to get feedback? Or I would love a review, or weekly or
Absolutely,
monthly,
yeah.
also maybe daily if I'm gonna use. And also, and how
Exactly.
is the possibility with technology also to get, because now it's I don't know how much water I spend, I have to admit. And I don't know, I wasn't that aware after preparing for this session. I was oh my God, I really need to load down how I use hot water. But how to give that feedback to consumers?
Yeah, but definitely. I mean, as I said, the more we are able to connect our products, of course, with consumer consent in that, right? But then we're able to see, wow, you've done X number of loads this month, or you know what, you did the quick cycle 25 times this month. Perhaps you can consider this. We can give people advice based on the way we see they're using their products, and help them make better decisions. And again, it's not forcing, but it's about positive reinforcement, really helping people to understand in a context where they can make a difference or make a change, which will make a big difference.
Yeah.
And it's not really also about only the environmental part. It really is looking at how do I get the best result for my clothes or my dishes, right? And I think for many people that may be more of a motivator, right? Well,
Yeah,
I'm worried about throwing this jacket into the laundry. Well, if I feel more comfortable and know that I can get the right setting to do that, I'll take care of my clothing better, and I'll also have a decrease my impact in terms of resource usage.
Yeah, linked to that, and Ratish also mentioned in the beginning of the importance of making this kind of choices irresistible, which is something that the coalition uses a lot, and also how to live a lifestyle where you only use 50 liters of water, but at the same time can do it gracefully. And for that, what kind of innovations do you see that maybe are not in place now, but they would really accelerate things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think before we think about the solutions and the innovations themselves, I want to talk a little bit about the approach we have to take to design solutions, because it's going to be a little different than the traditional approaches. And really for us, it comes down to a couple of design principles, and I'd maybe call out three in particular. Starting with, we use a process called design for environment at Kohler, and what we try to do is every new product for certain brands within our business, every time we start a new product development project, we go put it through the design for environment assessment. What that means is we look at the entire life cycle assessment of the product, from raw material sourcing to actual production, to product use in the field, to even the end of life. And we look at making choices, design decisions based on the environmental impact across each of those cycles, across water use, energy emissions, and then also materials and toxicity associated with each. And that's what we use to guide what sort of choices we want to make, because we don't want to make extremely water efficient products that use a lot of energy, or the other way. So that assessment really helps us make a holistic choice. The second principle I would say that's important is always design for cost, right? And by that I don't mean design for low cost, but design for a level of affordability that can make it a mass adoption possibility, right? So make it accessible at a variety of different price points depending on the channel and the market. And then the third one, which sort of hits to your question, is design for an amazing consumer experience. This is fundamentally what we stand for from our design, and we truly believe in that, right? To drive adoption, it has to be something that offers an amazing experience. It cannot be a trade-off. Functionality, performance, it really has to delight the customer, and that's really what we're trying to accomplish. So for us, developing these solutions has to be a combination of applying those design principles. And then to your question about specific innovation examples, we really have to think about rethinking and transforming how water is delivered, managed, and used within the kitchen and the bathroom compared to today. So today we look at products, so the plumbing device versus the appliance versus the faucet. I think we need to start thinking of systems, right? So can different products within the kitchen support each other in terms of water use? Do we truly need to use potable, clean drinking water, quality water to flush the toilet? We probably don't. So there may be an opportunity to take water from one device and put it to good use in others. So those are kinds of things we have to start exploring to be able to get to that goal.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and it feels like we really have to, we're like behind schedule to start exploring that.
And if
Yeah,
I
a
can
lot of
add to
Yeah.
that, I
Yeah.
think that's why it's so beautiful, this partnership in the 50-liter home coalition, right? Where we bring together different actors, and just like you were saying, Ratish, with the products you have versus the products that we have, how can you get this system working and how can we
Yep.
test it? And it's so nice there because it is about development, it is about technology and it's innovation with the consumer at heart, right? And
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
what's so important, again, to make that really be able to happen is, will the consumer actually use this? Which is super important.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I just, as I was saying, Soledad, it's about, for the first time I feel as part of this coalition, it's quite unconventional. So I'm a civil engineer and I work for Arcadis as a design and engineering consultancy working really on the sustainable solutions and resilient solutions. I never thought I would work with Electrolux, Kohler, P&G ever in my career.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, you know, we keep adding new partners. I look Arcadis to IKEA from one side, Arcadis from another side. It just seems a really good societal movement. And truly looking at things which we have never looked at is looking at the entire system from the time the water gets into the home to the time you're using a shampoo or a product. It's just fascinating. And looking at those touch points. But what we need to do is take the consumer with us on a journey
Yeah.
because ultimately that's what we are changing. And we ourselves are consumers, so we kind of understand
Exactly.
some of it.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
to link to that, as like also like since we are like consumers of water, definitely, I would love to hear, and also you're also been mentioning the importance of like driving behavioral change or making things irresistible, also like making the good choices irresistible. And for me, that is also like, for me to change behavior, I need to sometimes get rid of some habits that I know are not so good and start implementing others. And could you share some of your, like, in your own journey? And then also, I want to ask the question, do you live in 50-liter homes?
No.
No,
No,
not
at the
yet.
moment it's an aspiration, but we
Yeah.
are heading. So I'm saying 50 liters an aspiration. I'm saying even if we get to 100 liter, that's going to make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
And it's not just 50 liter, it's net zero living as well. Because
Exactly.
so that's why it's so important to understand the connection
nexus.
between water, energy, carbon, and then money as well. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, we're living in a resource constrained world where we have inflation and all other things. So I think it's about, that's why it's irresistible. Like it saves you money, it helps the environment, it makes it easy, and as Vanessa said, you know, it gets you a better, you know, wash.
Yeah.
So what's not to like?
Yeah, definitely. But then also, it's like I just jumped into that question, but in the middle when I was asking something else. But also to come back to like, how do we
Operationalize.
Thank you so much. Put into practice the water, energy, carbon nexus, and also just to take it down to the ground in which we're in our habits.
Yeah.
What would you say? Now we only have like 2 minutes. You have the possibility to share some habits or some tools that you have, and you can choose either tools that you have at your work as a leader to make sure you make decisions, like you were saying, you run through everything through this, but also as consumers, and you're like, how do you put this nexus into practice in your daily life? Who wants to start?
I'll make a start.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons, so we moved from a flat to a house, and I was so pleased, but that was not the only factor, but one of the factors was that I don't need 24/7 hot water. So we can switch on when we need it. And this is something what happens in Global South. You don't need 24/7. It's just so much a wastage of energy. So in my house now, I just switch it on half an hour before to get hot water. So that's one. And also look at dishwasher cycles, making sure absolutely it's full. So it's not just half a dishwasher and then you're washing it. And then even it's both. It's conserving, like you shorter showers and anything that you can do to reduce water consumption, because water, you're using less water means less energy, but also focusing on the hot water part of things as well. But I can say more, but I'll let my panelists say
Complement each
more.
other.
No, I'll build on that. I think if I had to pick the single most impactful thing a consumer can do at home, it is being mindful of the energy, the hot water used in the home. And it really comes down to anything from using your faucet in a certain way that allows you to minimize the use of hot water, dishwashers and appliances, but then also shower time, right? Maybe we don't need 30-minute showers. Maybe shorter showers are good
Should we
enough.
do cold showers?
Oh, maybe,
It wakes you up nicely.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be, again, I think that's the point of 50-liter solutions, is it has to be compelling. It cannot be a compromise. It cannot be starvation. So that's
Swedes will love cold showers. They like cold water. No, I'm just kidding.
so that's really on us as manufacturers, as brands of products. We need to think about how do we bring those solutions to bear that do not feel like a compromise. But I'd say just managing your hot water use and energy use at home will have the single most biggest contribution.
Okay, thank you. Vanessa.
Well, then if I can build on that, exactly what you should do is turn the temperature down when you're doing your laundry, right? From 40 degrees, what many people do, get it down to 30 degrees. Do that cold wash. Just 10 degrees difference can make such a big impact. If everybody were to do that in Europe, it would be like taking 1.5 million cars off the road.
Wow.
Right? It's huge. Plus, it's much better for your clothes. Right? It's really much kinder to your clothes. And with the detergents that we have now, the technologies, the programs that we have, you will get the right result. So yes, turn it down. That's the
Thank
big
you
thing.
so much. And thank you all of you for being so concrete and tangible and sharing so much knowledge and examples. So thank you everyone that joined us online. Thank you so much.
Thank you.